Amazing day, everyone. Hope all is doing well today and is kept safe inside their home or offices during this time of pandemic. Same goes with your families. Hope all is well. May I know if you can hear me okay before I continue talking? Can you please type on the chat box yes if you hear me okay, or maybe a thumbs up? Good morning, Ma'am Rhea. Yes po, audio is clear. Okay, good morning. I'd really appreciate it if you can type on your chat boxes your location right now while I give some introduction about myself and our agenda for today. I am also informed that we are live on YouTube and Facebook. So for those watching live on YouTube and Facebook, kindly type into the comment section your locations so the admin can forward it to us here at Zoom. And if you want to join us at Zoom, they will also give you a link so you can participate with this question and answer portion later on. Although it is on a first login, first serve basis. Okay, may I know your locations? Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, please type on the chat box while I share my screen, your locations, please. Can you see my screen? Okay, there's from San Fernando, Pampanga. There are people from Albay, NCR, Legazpi. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for your response. So again, amazing morning to everyone. Today's webinar is entitled Self-Discovery and Self-Awareness, Basics of Leadership. It is actually an introduction to a full course that I conduct with Limitless Power Coach, which is entitled Basic Leadership Skills Training. That is scheduled in on July 16. I will give you the details later. Okay. Okay. Moving on, let me give you some reminders about our webinar today here at Zoom. I highly suggest that you participate using the chat boxes on your screen and some emojis like thumbs up or other icons you may find there. If you have any questions, try to write it on a piece of paper and we will have a question and answer portion, or perhaps you want to share something on the latter part of our session if we still have time. Okay? Before I start introducing myself, can I see a thumbs up if you feel like you are a leader? Do you think you are a leader? So since we are, pinag-uusapan natin ngayon is leadership, may I know if you think you are a leader? May I see a thumbs up if you say yes, or write on the chat box, yes, I am a leader. So I see some people having check marks. Okay, very good. Okay, thank you for those who did responses for my question and they feel like they are a leader. For those who haven't, let's see if at the end of a session, of this session, you may feel like you are already a leader, but just doesn't know that you are, or perhaps you are still on your journey to being a leader. Moving on, I am RCee. I am a graduate of AB Psychology at De La Salle University, and I took my master's in business administration at Ateneo Graduate School of Business. I am a mompreneur. I am a single parent to tres Marias, and the youngest is a boy. I was previously an HR director to the business of my kid's dad, where we started with one branch and grew into 10 branches of grocery chains and a distributorship of grocery supplies when I stepped down. So from 13 employees, I had to arrange the organizational structure and train people from ground up. With the demand for recruitment, I founded a manpower contracting and subcontracting in 2014. Right now, we have janitorial services, HR, accounting, online marketing, among others. So if companies don't want to directly hire staff or personnel, they get our services as we also take care of the equipments and materials needed for the tasks at hand. In 2016, knowing that employees would not only need technical skills training, I founded Limitless Power Coach Training and Consultancy, not only for our existing employee self-development, but to also cater other corporations and businesses with soft skills training, management consulting, and events management. I produce an event yearly called Philippine Leaders Conference, which we have held in Clark Marriott Hotel 2 years in a row already. In addition, on my family side, I am a managing director of TRNOGR Corporation, which is an acronym of our family's names, where the last R is my name, as I am the youngest in the family. Our first restaurant, among other businesses, started in 1997, named after my mother, called Tessie's Restaurant Events and Catering Services. It is in Tarlac City, just in front of SM Tarlac City. So due to COVID, we can't maximize the 300 seating capacity of the whole place. Still under TRNOGR Corp is the business name and style of Dampasa Tarlac and Dampasa Pangasinan. So you see, my entrepreneurial spirit is hardwired since I was young and was already exposed to different leaders in my life. Through experience, books that I have read, or videos I have watched that I am applying in real life, I would usually give examples related to my experiences. But on today's webinar, I would like to know yours, as I have already said a lot about myself with my introduction. So, basically, we will be discussing the what, why, who, where, when, and how of self-discovery and self-awareness as the basics of leadership. So what is self-discovery? And what is the difference of self-discovery from self-awareness? If the dictionary would define this term, it would say that it is the process of learning, understanding, or knowing more about yourself and who you are. Becoming aware of one's true potential, character, motives, and the like. An example of self-discovery is going to therapy or meditating to have time to consider and contemplate your strengths and weaknesses. Self-awareness, on the other hand, is a person's knowledge of themselves and their worth as a person. Awareness of oneself as an individual, especially as a worthwhile person. An example of self-awareness is that what someone hopes to gain through therapy. So basically, self-awareness is a result of doing self-discovery. So self-awareness is yung result ng pag-discover mo sa sarili mo. Naging aware ka na sa sarili mo. Aware in Filipino is kamalayan. So kapag hindi mo natuklasan ang sarili mo habang nabubuhay ka, ay parang nabubuhay ka ng walang kamalayan or malay. Ang lungkot naman mabuhay ng walang malay, no? It's like life is just happening to you without any feeling or knowledge about it. But why is self-discovery and self-awareness a basic of leadership? First of all, you must want to discover yourself. So like you have the gusto to undergo the process. Because if you want to be a leader, you must be motivated from within, right? Now, self-awareness is an essential trait of a great leader. By knowing your values, personalities, needs, habits, and emotions, and how they affect your actions and the actions of others, you're better able to manage your stress, make better decisions, and ultimately lead others to do the same. Okay. Now, who should do self-discovery and self-awareness? can anybody be a leader, or is it just the management or the owners of the business that should be tagged as a leader? By a show of hands on your screen, may I know who of you here think that it is possible to be a leader even if you don't have followers or subordinates? Or you can type on the chat box. Let me see here. Yeah, Geraldine. Thank you, Geraldine. Lester, Junaid, Lester. Okay. All right. As a matter of fact, you can be a leader without followers. You're right. Or subordinates. And that's what we call self-leadership. Basically, before we can lead others, we should know how to lead ourselves first. So usually self-leadership includes self-awareness, setting goals for self or layunin, honoring self, pagpaparangal, actively rejecting pessimism, aka nega or negative, or they say don't be a negatron, no? And being the change you want to see the world. There are actually 4 pillars of self-leadership. On leadership books by different leadership authors, there may be different terms used, but they all mean and cover the same. But for today, we will use these terms, which I will discuss one by one, where I myself have been practicing continuously on my journey as a leader. These are the 4 elements that together make up the concept of self-leadership. They all complement each other well, but to be a successful self-leader, you need to develop in all 4 areas. Let's take a look at each of them in more detail. Okay, the first pillar is self-discovery. As mentioned a while ago, to be a great leader, we have to understand ourselves. It might sound silly. I mean, you are you. How can you not be yourself, right? But it's surprising how when we don't take the time to get in touch with ourselves, we lose sight of who we really are. And when I talk about who we really are, I mean the real you, not the pretend you that you carry around to make the world think you're okay, no? They say, sabi nga nila, pag nagpo-post ka sa Facebook or social media, pinapakita mo you're okay, thank you for all the blessings and all that, pero in reality, malungkot ka or you're depressed, no? So when we're caught up in the busy work of doing, we often either don't notice subtle shifts in ourselves, or we become so focused on the work that we don't realize when it's leading us away from who we really are and what we truly value. At our core, we all have a set of beliefs and values that make us who we are. In a nutshell, your values, ano ba yung pinahahalagahan mo, guide your approach to life and relationships. And discovering them and uncovering what makes you tick can reveal some surprising things. Being the best leader we can be means identifying what these values are and then living and leading in accordance with them. So when you understand what's important to you, what energizes you, sabi nga sa isang commercial, para saan ka gumigising? No? What you believe in and where you want to be, you can make leadership decisions with confidence. Think of all the great leaders in history. They're often considered great because they had the courage to stand up for what they believed in. But to get there, first, they had to be 100% clear on what exactly it was that they believed in. Okay? So just so I know you are with me, I want you to do something. Kindly type on the chat box what you value most. Ano yung mga pinaka-pinahahalagahan ninyo sa buhay. And I will read it after the next slide. Okay? Type on the chat box what you value most. Okay, moving forward. Self-leadership pillar number 2 is self-acceptance. No? Self-acceptance is about being completely honest, matapat, with yourself and accepting it without self-criticism or self-sabotage. All too often, we focus on the negatives about ourselves. Perhaps you feel that your career isn't progressing fast enough, you're drained with the amount of stuff you have to do at work or at home, or you're not capable of driving the results you want to see. Self acceptance is about recognizing where things aren't going the way you'd like, understanding your part in that, and then accepting it. You can recognize where you could do things better without beating yourself up for not already being perfect. Perfectionism or yung pagiging perfecto is overrated and technically impossible. Self-acceptance isn't about accepting where you might have failed and shrugging your shoulders and carrying on exactly as before. Instead, it's about taking responsibility o meron kang pananagutan for your feelings and actions, accepting what is and isn't possible to change, and developing a plan to handle things differently in the future. It's accepting that you are good enough already, but that everyone can always strive to be a little better. Importantly, self acceptance isn't just about accepting your flaws, it's also about accepting and owning your strengths. While most people find it easy to point out their flaws, ang bilis nating mag-judge, no? Lalo na sa sarili natin. Or baka mas mabilis pa tayong mag-judge din sa iba. Well, many of us struggle to openly identify our strengths. When you can honestly identify what you're good at, you can leverage that to get better results. When you achieve self-acceptance, your growth comes from a less stressful place. You're focusing on growth in the areas that matter to you, knowing that it's essential to grow, but also being comfortable with where you are right now. So that's self-acceptance. While I read the answers to my question a while ago, kindly type on your chat box, what is your strengths and or weaknesses that you have already accepted about yourself? And I will read it after the next slide. As for values, let's see your answers. So most of you said you value family. It's like 80% or 90% of your answers, and relationships. All right, most of you are families and relationships. Very good. So now can you please type your answer about your strengths and weaknesses that you already accepted about yourself, and I will read it later. Okay, now the third pillar is self-management. Leaders who can self-manage are more productive, more focused, and more able to work independently. But what exactly is self-management? Self-management and self-discipline are closely linked. So yung pagiging disiplinado natin, no? It involves holding yourself accountable and ensuring you manage your time and resources effectively. Self-management isn't about overworking or pushing yourself too hard. Your greatest resources are your own time and energy. Self-managing means maintaining a good balance and prioritizing the right things. Poor self-management leads to constant firefighting, stress, and burnout. Ikaw ba yung tipong tao na mabilis ma-stress or uminit yung ulo? Perhaps you need to manage yourself more effectively. Making time for self-development is all part of good self-management, as is ensuring that you don't allow yourself to be distracted when completing important tasks for work, or such right now, you are developing yourself by being part of a webinar. Self-management requires self-awareness. You need to understand what habits you already have so that you can replace less desirable habits or routines with more desirable ones. For example, if you're in the habit of checking your phone every half an hour, it's likely to be disrupting your focus, right? Instead, retrain yourself to break the habit and replace it with the practice of blocking time. This allows for deep focus when you need it and will enable you to be a much more effective leader in the long run. Self-management also means controlling impulses. When you want to react instead of respond. To do this effectively, you need first to be self-aware of what triggers your behaviors and able to apply self-management to remain centered and calm. Reflection, no, reflecting, is an essential part of self-discovery and self-acceptance. Taking the time to self-reflect regularly keeps you in the tune with your priorities and values and help you identify where your opportunities for improvement and growth are. I could still remember when I was taking the leadership course during my MBA, I would sleep 2 o'clock in the morning just writing my reflection papers. And it really helped me learn more about myself, not only thinking about it, but writing it on a paper, which enlightened me in a way about my mission in life, why I really exist, and why I do things. Actually, I have my notebook here. I use this since 2016. No? I write everything there. Self-management also builds on self-discovery and self-acceptance by developing positive discipline to work on the things that align with your strengths and values. So that's self-management. While I read the answers to my question a while ago, kindly type on the chat box below one example of your morning habits. Like maybe you meditate upon waking up, like me, and I will read it after the next slide. So as for your strengths and weaknesses, all right, let's see. Junaid said, strength, good in dealing with people, while weakness is easily trusting people. Okay, well, maybe your weakness can also be a strength because you are trusting. No, it's like, it can also be a strength because it's like giving them the benefit of the doubt. No? Adaptability, empathy, relator, analytical, ideation, arranger. That's the strength of Francis. Prince, strength, not applicable, no answer, but weakness is emotional. Well, being emotional can also be a strength, like you are compassionate maybe, or empathy, you're empathic. Angel, strength can adjust or adapt easily. Weakness is sometimes too emotional, stress and anxiety attack. So maybe you can improve on managing your stress. All right, thank you for your answers. So moving forward is self-leadership, pillar number 4, self-growth. Self-leadership is all about personal growth and becoming a better leader. It's about being completely honest with yourself, but it isn't about self-criticism. It's about recognizing what you're doing, what is and isn't working, and how you can make positive changes. It develops a leader's sense of accountability and responsibility for the right things. Self-growth is about striving to continuously improve yourself. It requires being open to feedback and creating a development plan to keep you accountable and on track. Committing to self-growth can make a positive impact in your career and helps you to lead by example for those around you. Kaya huwag kayong mainis or matakot kapag na-evaluate kayo or may feeling kayo na may nasasabing hindi maganda sa inyo, but instead take that as an opportunity to make yourself better and improve yourself. To harness the power of self-growth, you need a passion for learning and a sense of curiosity. Great leaders are curious, always asking questions and learning about their industry and themselves. Curiosity helps you close any knowledge gaps, which makes you more competent. It also inspires you to find new ways to solve old problems. The work you do for the previous three pillars to identify your values, strengths, and priorities will guide your learning so that it naturally ignites your passion and curiosity. Another large part of self-growth is learning how to embrace failure. Developing a growth mindset allows you to focus on the outcomes without getting frustrated by failure. Recognizing failure for the learning opportunity it provides allows you to flourish and succeed later. Sabi nga nila, when you stumble 7 times, get up 8 times. Don't let failure stop you from moving forward. We need to be resilient, right? So that's the last pillar for self-leadership. While I read the answers to my questions about your morning habits, kindly type on the chat box below one example only of your failure that you have had overcome, and I will read it after the next slide. As for your morning habits, let's see your answers here. Okay, you pray, and another one is also pray and thank God for a new day and life. Okay, so it's like also meditating or reflecting, because prayer is a form of meditation. Taking the next steps towards leadership, these 4 pillars from the basis of my leadership journey, and each one is equally important. They complement and build up upon each other to develop you into the best possible leader you can be. Remember, as Lao Tzu, a Chinese philosopher, once said, mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. So my question for you, how do you really know yourself? You don't have to write it on the chat box, but maybe you can ponder upon it after the webinar. Now, after who, the next question is where and when should you be a leader? Okay, who can write on the chat box the answer? Again, the question is where and when could or should you be a leader? Okay, let me see. Okay, as for the failure, one said, he easily gets agitated, but I learned to understand people. Wow, good for you, Junaid. Now, my question is, where and when can or should you be a leader? Anyone? It's so easy. Where? During crisis or imminent danger. Right? Actually, the correct answer is anywhere or anytime, right? Louis said all the time. Okay. Okay, good. Lastly is the how. How can you improve your leadership skills through self-awareness? For today, I would give 7 techniques, or tips. The first step to help you increase your self-awareness and propel your leadership potential is to feel your feelings. Feelings matter, whether you're feeling guilt, happiness, sadness, or excitement. Don't label your feelings as good or bad. The goal here is to not judge your feelings, but to understand them. By sitting with your feelings, you can gain insight into what's causing them. Once you understand why you're feeling a certain way, you can let them run their course and release them. Be aware that your emotions are there to teach you something important. Okay? Second is gather feedback. Knowing yourself is not about an inside job. Although it can be scary, asking a trusted colleague, family member, friend, or mentor for a true opinion of how you show up in various situations is a great way to gain a clearer understanding of yourself. Ano ba ang pagkakakilala nila sa'yo or nakikita nila sa'yo? It's also a good idea to ask employees how you're doing and how they perceive you in a certain situation. By gathering feedback from different sources, you might see behavior patterns that you didn't realize were there. Being willing to look at yourself through others' eyes will help you glean invaluable insight into how your emotions, communication style, and mannerisms affect other people. Third is to know your strengths and weaknesses. Feedback is only valuable if you act on it. So once you've gone to the trouble of getting input about how others perceive you, put the information to good use. Is your to-the-point interaction with peers and employees seen in a positive light? Or are they interpreting your concise delivery as abrasive? Does your high energy level motivate others? Or are you making them nervous and agitated? Do you criticize more often than you offer praise? Identify what you're doing right, and what could be better, and then work on improving in the areas that warrant it. Fourth, practice mindfulness. Be aware that you are sending messages to others without even saying a word. Your feelings are communicated through your demeanor, the words you choose, and the tone you use with other people. One example is instead of saying, I had a bad day, maybe you can rephrase it by saying, my day was not good. The choice of word was still positive. So rather than saying bad day, you use not good. So the word good is still positive. Or like me, I don't say problems. I use challenges. So that way, the person listening to me won't feel doomed or parang, may problema na naman. Instead, challenge make you feel like kailangan mong malampasan. So it makes you get into your feet and do something about it. How about your mood? Did you just dash into the meeting you're about to leave after sitting in a traffic jam for an hour? You may be transmitting some of that road rage into your presentation without even realizing it. Are you saying you are open to helping someone while standing with your arms crossed? Do you check your cell phone during conversations and wonder why people seem annoyed with your ideas? Body language counts, no? And you can be somewhere physically but still not being present. Kaya nga minsan, no, when you're eating with your family or with your friends and then you're using your cell phone, it's like magkasama kayo pero parang hindi mo naman kasama kasi nagsi-cellphone na lang nagsi-cellphone. Masarap ba ito yung pagkain ko? Ikaw kumakain, nagsi-cellphone pa yung kasama mo. Being mindful of how you are showing up to others is a big step towards knowing yourself. I myself is always checking on this because we have already some habits and mannerisms that we must be conscious and mindful about, since these may have an effect on others that we don't want them or we don't mean. No. Fifth is to keep an open mind. Good leaders are naturally curious and open to new ways of doing things. When you welcome alternative viewpoints and ideas, you foster your own growth and development while making those around you feel supported and accepted. For example, just because you're more productive in the morning doesn't mean everyone else is. Instead of holding brainstorming sessions at the start of the workday, consider changing it up and having them at different times of the day. You might find that you get more done as a team by scheduling meetings when the majority of the group is alert and in the groove. 6 is keep a journal. No? You must have a notebook or a journal. The biggest obstacle on your journey of self-awareness is objectivity. Taking time every day to write down how you feel, both emotionally and physically, will give you a deeper understanding of your internal triggers and how you're responding. Be honest about your feelings and reactions, good or bad, without judgment. After a month or so, go back and reflect on your experiences and decide if there are areas that you want to change. What did you enjoy? Did you see situations where you could have done things differently? Your journal is a great resource for you to chronicle your experiences and see your progress toward greater self-enlightenment. 7th, last but not the least, is to follow your values. This is my last slide before the Q&A part. What are the values you live by? Are you feeling good about how you're living your life? Taking time to ask yourself if your behavior is in line with your belief system is a good way to keep your life in balance. With the fast-paced lives that most of us lead, it's easy to get off track. If you find yourself reacting in ways that go against your inner belief, such as yelling at your children when they make a mistake or gossiping about a coworker, chances are you're not in a good place emotionally. By becoming aware of the areas where you're letting yourself down, you'll be able to choose a different route that's more reflective of who you want to be. Na-feel nyo na ba yung like meron kayong ginawa and then you felt bad about it, and there are also things that you do that makes you feel good inside? Well, we all have inner guidance. You will know if you're doing something that is within your values or outside your values if you check your feelings or your emotions together with the action that you did. So kapag na-feel bad ka sa ginawa mo, it means it's against your values. But if you feel good inside after doing such thing, you did something aligned with your values. Question about yelling. Let's say, kapag sinigawan mo yung isang tao kasi gusto mong mag-release ng sama ng loob against that person and you felt good about it, what does it say about you? So one of your values is that it is okay to yell so you get the message across and feel better. This is an example of defense mechanism called displacement, where you direct strong emotions and frustration towards a person or object that doesn't feel threatening. This allows you to satisfy an impulse. No? It's just an impulse to react. It's not a response. But you don't risk significant consequences. Question is, oo nga, okay yung feeling mo na na-release mo yung galit mo by shouting or yelling. But after that, ano yung naramdaman mo? Kung makita mo yung reaction ng taong sinigawan mo, of course, pag sinigawan mo yung tao, he or she will feel shame, no? Or feel hurt. Did it also make you feel better, or did it make you feel guilty? So here is my 2 cents advice. Learn how to respond and not just react. Okay? Self-awareness is an essential trait of a great leader. By knowing your values, personality, needs, habits, and emotions, and how they affect your actions and the actions of others, you'll be better able to manage your stress, make better decisions, and ultimately lead others to do the same. All right. I think there's still an ample time for Q&A. Maybe I could answer one or two. You can write on the chat box your questions, or maybe you could turn on your mic to ask, or perhaps you can share something about yourself that is related to what we have discussed. Is inner guidance tantamount to conscience? Well, thank you for the question, Janine. Actually, it's quite related, no? It's true that we all have conscience, and that is our inner guidance. So, pagka meron kang ginawa, at first, sometimes meron tayong ginawa to release anger. We feel better, no? Kasi na-release mo yung anger. But really, after that, there's this conscience or may inner guidance tayo na sinasabing, ay, mali yata yung ginawa ko. And then you feel bad about yourself. So that means you're feeling, no, your emotions inside that gives you a bad feeling or bad emotions. That means your conscience or your inner guidance is saying, that's not right. So you have to do something better about your anger or your stress. Maybe you can do other defense mechanisms, like others when they feel stressed, instead of putting it all out to their coworkers or colleagues or subordinates, they exercise, they go to the gym, they do boxing. So they do something else that is not hurting other people. Okay, I hope I answered your question, Junaid. Is there a correlation between self-leadership to emotional intelligence? Okay, thank you for that question, Ms. Rochelle. Emotional intelligence or EQ, no, sabi nga nila, pagka there's an experiment when children are seated on a table with chocolates in front of them, and then the parent or the one doing the experiment would tell them na, don't eat that chocolate until I go back. So, yung mga bata na hindi kinain yung chocolate, they are perceived that they have higher emotional intelligence. Same goes with adults, no? When we say self-management kanina, related to the 4 pillars of self-leadership, there are times that our emotions are messed up because of the external situations. And ito yung nagiging test ng character ng mga leaders. Kasi sabi nga natin, we should learn how to respond, not react. Kasi pag may external factors na nakaka-agitate sa atin or na-stress tayo or nagagalit tayo, when you have higher emotional intelligence, you should have, or you may be perceived as you have this higher moral value. Meaning, you don't have to react easily na parang gantihan ko nga to. Or sinabihan niya ako ng ganito, masama, sabihan ko rin siya ng masama, gantihan ko siya para mainis din siya sa akin. Kasi nainis ako sa kanya eh. Pero if you know how to self-manage, you know how to discipline yourself, you are also disciplining your emotions. So before you react, you think about those situations, internalize it, reflect it, and then you check your emotions. Why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel sad? Why do I feel hurt? Why do I feel stressed? Where am I coming from? Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe because of my family situation I am facing right now. So if you reflect on that and you realize na hindi ikaw ang may problema, baka kaya ka lang sinigawan kasi he's also coming from a place na he's stressed out or she's having a family problem, and then you realize that, okay, instead of reacting ng masama or gantihan ko siya ng sigawan ko rin siya or magalit ako sa kanya, I would, if you are a self-leader, you would respond in a way na, wait, I have to reflect on this. Instead of reacting negatively, I would respond in such a way that, okay, talk to him or her like, okay, I know where you're coming from. Let me check on that and I will get back to you. So you don't have to yell. You don't have to say negative things. All you have to do is respond to the situation in a positive light. Okay, how from Miss or Mr. Roy, how to persuade our bosses here to attend your training and become true leaders? Well, actually, most of the corporations or businesses, they send their subordinates or their employees, right? But unfortunately, when I do trainings, most of them would say this, like, maybe our boss should attend this because why are we the one learning about this, but they are not true leaders or something. But here's the thing, and here's my observation. Since I am also a boss or a leader of my own company and I have my employees, sometimes employees may think that their bosses are not a true leader, no? Because they see them like, hindi naman siya ito eh. Hindi naman itong, yung mga sinabi ni Ma'am Rhea, hindi naman siya to. Bakit ako yung ako ito eh. Bakit ako yung pinapaaral niya nito? Ako yung pinapatrain niya nito. Pero siya naman, hindi niya ginagawa to. Well, to tell you frankly, all of us are on our leadership journey. So we have our different stages, no? And we have our different levels. So maybe my 2 cents advice for that is always check yourself, no? Always don't judge your boss. Don't judge the owners of the business. They have their own thing. They have their own challenges, no, in life and in business. You can only control yourself. You cannot control them. So why not reflect on what to do, how to respond to them? So for example, you are being stressed kasi tinambakan ka ng trabaho. So what do? Mag-react ka, magreklamo ka, parang nakakainis naman si boss, na naman, ginawa na naman, tinambakan na naman ako ng trabaho, hindi pa nga natatapos to, binigyan na naman ako ng isa. So, sabihin mo ba sa kanya, boss, pwede bang huwag mo akong bigyan ng trabaho? Eh di, wala ka ng trabaho, di ba? Kaya ka nga nandyan because they need you for the work. So what you do is, you reflect. What should be your response? Now, the right thing to do is develop yourself, how to time manage, how to prioritize. You can also see this in a brighter light, like, instead of thinking na yan na naman, binigyan na naman ako trabaho, think of it as like being grateful na, wow, without this work, I will not have work. And I will learn from this work. I will enhance my skills, no? And I would give value to the company, no? Because of me, itong mga ginagawa ko, nagpo-profit yung company. So, sometimes, if you are the employee, you feel like you are on a disadvantage. But really, if you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to be a boss in the future, you should take this as a tuition fee, or you should take this as a practice, or as you should take the situation as parang getting ready for future opportunities that will make you a better person, maybe a promotion, no? Or maybe in the future, pag ikaw na yung gumawa ng business mo, you would also get employees just like yourself, na pagka ikaw yung boss, ganito sila, no? Yung kung ano ka. So you always put yourself to the shoes of your boss, na bakit kaya ganito niya sinabi, bakit kaya niya ako binibigyan ng ganitong trabaho. So, para hindi mo ma-feel yung negative side. You should always look at the brighter side of things. Okay, I think napahaba yung sagot ko doon. Thank you for that question. So ma'am, is it safe to say that people who are claiming without conscience are bad? As a businesswoman and leader handling a lot of people, how do you deal with difficult ones? Okay, the first one. So ma'am, is it safe to say that people who are claiming without conscience are bad? No, no one is bad. No? All of us are born good. No? Kaya nga tayo may free will. We have a choice what to do. And whatever they are doing, we cannot control, but we can always check on ourselves. So don't give that stigma that those who are claiming without conscience are bad. Malay mo, nandun lang sila sa face. Kaya nga, even our life, di ba, we have identity crisis, no, middle life crisis. Baka nata sila sa face na they don't know yet. So let's not judge them. As a businesswoman and leader, handling a lot of people, how do you deal with difficult ones? I don't handle them. They handle me. So when you say difficult ones, what do you mean by difficult ones? Like hard to manage? Okay. I always, when you manage people, always realize that everyone has uniqueness. No, we are all unique. We have different skill set. We have strengths and weaknesses. We have different strengths and weaknesses. So I always see to it that if, for example, hindi niya magawa yung trabaho na binigay ko, I always dig deeper. Ano ba yung strength nitong tao na to? So I parang rino-rotate ko yung trabaho in a way na ano ba yung strength mo? Bigyan nga kita nito, magagawa ba ng tama? If not, ito naman, try mo. Ito, try mo. Until I don't give up on them, no, easily. They give up on me because hindi ako tumitigil. I'm always curious about them na ano pa ba yung kailangan nating ayusin? Or ano pa ba yung kailangan nating improve sa'yo? And you have to do it with me. I can't do it on my own. Hindi pwedeng i-push lang kita tapos ako lang. No? Dapat meron ka ring consent, meron ka ring gusto na ayusin kung ano man yung dapat nating ayusin. So, kung wala siyang consent or he doesn't like to improve himself, what can you do? Right? You can only do so much. But the intention is always you want to help. You want them to be improving themselves also as much as you want to improve yourself. Yes, Arden. Ma'am, what if your boss is always judgmental? Well, that says a lot of things about him, maybe. He's judging himself. That's why he puts it there out to others. So the question is, if he judges you, what do you feel about it? Do you think it's true? Are you affected by the judgment your boss is giving you? Or are you relaxed? Or do you feel like, kasi pag apektado ka, sabi nga nila, pag totoo, masakit, di ba? So, kung totoo yung ginajudge na sa'yo, nasasaktan ka. But hindi na judgment yon. It's reality. It's just saying what is, right? Pero kung feeling mo judgment and hindi totoo, so why do you have to feel bad about it? If you know to yourself na hindi naman totoo yun. All emotions are valid. How we respond to that emotion is what's important. Tama po, ma'am. Yes, you are correct, Francis. And what should a true leader provide on his or her team on time of crisis? A true leader should provide optimism and vision. No, you have to give them the vision. And this time of pandemic, kahit ano talagang strategy ang gawin mo, talagang sira talaga yung economy. So, as a leader, what you can do is give them the bigger picture. Now, what is ahead of the company? What is the vision of the company after this pandemic? What should be done during this pandemic so we can go to that vision? What really is our mission as a company and as a team as a whole? So you have to give them that picture so that they would know and they will not be blinded of the situation. Okay. Okay, I think that's the last question. I hope I answered your questions. Okay, so let me just show you this. Okay, thank you, fellow leaders, for listening and staying with me this morning. Before our photo opportunity here at Zoom app, because I know we are also live in Facebook and YouTube, I would like to get this time to invite you on July 16. It's a Thursday. I will be conducting an online training, full course, on basic leadership skills training. The objectives of the full course is listed on the screen. It is now 67% off. You will only pay 500. No, 500. How many coffees is that? Like 3 instead of 1,500. This already includes an e-certificate on face-to-face training before COVID. It is actually worth 3,000 per person. For more details, I believe the team sent you a link privately. Also, if you would want to get an e-certificate for today, you may contact the admin. On July 16, it would also be a great platform during the pandemic to network via online training, since those who will attend may keep in touch with each other, because you may provide other participants' contact details with participants' consents, of course. So this will also be a way to promote your company or business, or just be a way to make new friends online. And on July 16, we will do a lot of activities, and it will be facilitated in such a way that everyone can talk and share, since leadership includes having good communication skills. And if you want to watch the replay of this webinar, you may do so by subscribing to Limitless Power Coach's YouTube channel. The link is also provided by the admin on your chat boxes. For those watching in Facebook and YouTube, the admin will also send the said link there. All right. Once again, thank you and have an amazing time for the rest of the day.